Alrighty folks, this is Lurch from Ireland Gaming and welcome to my Back to Basics series where we're going to be building a simple flare system. This build is very nearly complete, we're doing really well and we just want to add some very basic countermeasures just to sort of protect against some infrared missiles. So we're getting straight into build mode here and I'm going to put symmetry on straight away. I have been hunting around for a suitable place for flares and I think somewhere around here will work quite well. We're going to use a really simple ACB firing mechanism for these so that we don't need to have an AI, we don't need to have missile warners, we don't need to have any of that flashy stuff. So what I'm going to do is go to the missiles tab and build myself a missile controller. And like I said, I have symmetry on, so you have it on the other side there as well. And we'll build our missile controller here. I want a missile launch pad. And you can see the arrow on top of these that shows the direction that they're pointing. We want to be pointing outwards. Now, we want to have a missile block. And don't worry, we'll fill up this gap in a little bit. Got a missile block here, and that will give us our missile. Now let's just configure the missile now, because this is a really easy one. This big scary list of parts, we want the sticky flare. There we go. And we just want to add 2 of them. And all of these can be okay for now. We will have to come back to this menu though, because we're going to use ejectors. We covered ejectors before, but they're really important for this particular sort of mechanic. So we have ejectors set on now, and if we go back into the list, we have some extra settings here to play with. Now we want these to be firing upwards at a bit of an angle, so that they don't just fire straight into the water, because that will mean they'll just stick beside our ship. We probably actually only need 1 ejector for these because we don't actually want them flying too far away. So we could maybe pull that back a bit after we've tested it. Now we want to set our ejection angle to something about 30 degrees. We can set it higher if we want and that'll shoot them more upwards, but bear in mind that we have these blocks on either side so we can't set it too high. We escape from that menu. That's pretty much everything done, except for the firing mechanism. For this, we're going to use an ACB, or Automated Control Block. You can find these in the Control tab of the Build menu. The Automated Control Block is up here in the top right. It allows loads and loads and loads of customization options for lots of different things. But we're going to be using it for something very simple. Now there are so many things, and I'm not going to cover... I haven't even used a lot of these. But we're looking in particular for activate when enemy range is less than input. Now these are less than and are greater than symbols. I always remembered, actually for my math class at school, it always eats the bigger value. So we want to activate if range is less than the input. So we want to activate this and we want to tell it to activate our weapon systems. We also need to set the effect delay down. About 2 blocks should be enough. This is the distance that the ACB can interact with things. If we leave this at effect range maximum, it's going to affect all of the weapon systems on the ship at once, and we don't want that. We just want it to fire this 1 sticky flare. So we set this to about 2, and this will allow it to reach this block and fire the weapons. We need to check this, and we want to set a distance. Approximately 1,000 meters is good for this, because most missiles don't have a range much larger than that, and at the very most you're going to have to set this to about 1,500. If you find missiles are coming in and your ships aren't firing missiles or firing sticky flares, set this value higher. If we test this now, it should fire a sticky flare for us. Oh, we heard it firing, and off it goes. And that's our sticky flare. Now they are great for preventing your ship from getting destroyed by infrared missiles. And as suspected, that's maybe a little bit far away from the ship. So let's remove one of these and have this in a nice neat little block, and that will be our sticky flare. Now we do have to configure the other side, and we want to set it the other side to an ejection angle of 30 as well, and the sticky flare. So let's do that quickly. We want the sticky flare, which is conveniently selected, and we want to set the ejection angle up to 30. And now all we need to do is fill in the little gaps. So there we go. Gaps filled. Sticky flares on the go, and they're not firing just now. So I want to save the ship up quickly. Save vehicle. Step 12. Flares. And that's us pretty much done. And now, as far as mechanical components are concerned, this is about all that we're going to do for this ship. There are loads of other additional extras you can make to improve this. If you're willing to sacrifice safety and put your ammo boxes somewhere else, you fit another weapon system in here. You could do the same at the back of the ship. There's loads of room for extra improvements. But let's demonstrate the sticky flares first. Let's fight a Kalmar. They're pretty easy, but you should be coming up against them in the early campaign. Oh, there we go. Take that, Mr. Kalmar. Now, these sticky flares will just spit out all the time, and I just realised I forgot to set the ACB on the other side. Well done me. Let's do that quickly. Activate if enemy range is less than 1,000 meters. Set the effect range to 2. And we want to set weapon systems to fire. And now that one will start firing too. So easy to miss little things like that. This is why we test. Testing is important. But we now have a lovely little sticky flare launcher. Now, if you want to fire at a slightly lower rate, you can change the cooldown time on the ACBs. Let's have a look at that now. The effect delay will allow you to set these to fire a lot slower. We set this to about maybe 5 seconds. And we'll do the same on the other side this time. Give a delay to every time that they trigger, meaning that they won't fire nearly as often. This will... I guess we should probably show this thing in action against things with missiles, right? So this is a Duster from the Deepwater Guard. And you'll see that it was attracted to those flares. It didn't hit us with those missiles, which is awesome. And that's what these things do. Look at these missiles flying about harmlessly, enjoying the sun, while we destroy the Duster. Isn't that great? But that's flares in a nutshell. This isn't the most efficient way to do them. You can use missile warners to only fire them whenever missiles are present, and add a little bit more configuration options to them. For now, that's all we're going to do though. This is a simple tutorial, so we'll start with a simple flare. In the next episode, we're going to work on prettying this thing up. I know I said I was going to pass this to Rosefall, but Rosefall is off gallivanting in Thailand on a 1-month adventure holiday, so he's a little bit out of the way for doing videos at the minute, I'm afraid. So you've got me instead. So I'm going to cover some of my aesthetic principles on how I build and pretty up ships. And this is generally a good start, and we sculpt it from there. But we'll see that in the next episode. I do hope you enjoyed the episode. Any likes, subs or comments are really, really awesome. I love hearing from you guys, and I read every single comment. As always, take it handy, and have a bloody good day.